Previously on Project Retro Rally.
I will be driving this car in the AvD-Histo-Monte.
We are going to be turning this into a classic rally car.
And then you can see how much work there is left to do. And now it's time to start Heinrich up. Those 1,000 layers of non-standard rust proofing have also been removed. We're going to be taking out the rear axle because there's a bit of a leak. Herzlich willkommen, welcome back to Behind the Build, featuring Heinrich, the heroic Mercedes-Benz 280S. Over on the Car Throttle channel, you'll have seen us swap out the front suspension and take out the rear axle. And now, we're going to be pulling the rear axle apart and fixing it. But first, we need to get it clean because it's disgusting. Blech. Now, before Karl-Heinz and I talk through the axle and why we're pulling it apart, I'm actually going to ask the gentleman to my right a question. Now, the fortunate thing is that he doesn't really speak a lot of English, has no idea what I'm saying, which is perfect. And I'm going to be driving Heinrich in a rally soon, so I need someone to navigate. Also, Karl-Heinz, bevor wir anfangen, es würde mich echt freuen, wenn du mein Co-Pilot sein würdest.
Schauen wir mal, wie du dich weiterhin verhältst.
Hast du Bock?
Ja.
Co-pilot right here, awesome. Good. We've got this rubber sleeve here, and there's a big old hole in here. I'm gonna stick my finger right in there. The axle needs to be pulled apart. We're gonna be swapping this out. The bushes here as well also need to be swapped out because they are knackered. Let's crack on unbolting. Now, the funny thing is that Karl-Heinz just told me that he hasn't done this, taken an axle out and pulled it apart, since 1975. And my maths isn't that good, but how old am I? 33, 85. 43 years he hasn't done one of these. So, it's been a while. So Karl-Heinz is just telling me when you put the axle back together, make sure that you do it very delicately. I noticed how he pointed at me and he looked me in the eyes when he said that because I think he knows I'm not the most delicate human being. So as you can see, there was a hole somewhere and here it is. This is what's been causing us problems.
With the rear assembly refreshed, the next step is to put it all back together again.
Right, so I've just been really busy, just working on the axle. I've got everything together. I had my glorious assistant Marcel next to me. He's been helping. He's been getting in the way a little bit though, but we'll move on from that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you understand all that?
Ja, ein bisschen.
Oh, okay. He's doing really well. I didn't know he spoke such good English. The next thing we need to do is to replace these rubber bushings on both sides. So Karl-Heinz is currently getting a socket for that. And the socket is the wrong size that he's getting.
Size, yes.
Brilliant. So, yeah, we're going to tell him the good news and then he'll have to go off again. And I think he's going for naps.
With Karl-Heinz back not from a nap but rather getting a massive socket, we start taking off the suspension arms in preparation for new bushes. Which went well.
This massive spanner is just slipping on these big old nuts here. So we're just rounding it off. Gut gemacht. There we go.
Maschinenarbeit.
Karl-Heinz has just put this on the press, and as you can see, this bushing here isn't even making contact here with this metal part. So the axle literally just moves freely, and that's when you get a bad ride quality. So new bushing, and then everything should be nice and tight, and then Heinrich will be a happy camper. So when you can't do it with your hands, then use air tools. But this side, we can't get an air tool in there, so that's the next challenge.
I think the word challenge is a bit of an understatement here as we struggle to get the bolt out. And when I say struggle, I mean this sucker wasn't coming out anytime soon.
Right then, now is the last resort. Time to get serious. Quick update for you guys, we've taken this out now. We have to actually bend the metal housing here. As you can see, the bolt is still stuck inside. There's a metal washer that's in my hand now that was completely rusted on. It's still hot. That's crazy from all that movement. So yeah, we've got to get this out and then bend the bracket back and we should be good. Another half an hour maybe? For a job that should have taken about half an hour. We've been at it for about 3 hours. Anyway, project car life.
Meanwhile, Karl-Heinz cleans the first suspension arm, after which the guys reshape the bent housing back to spec. Then the old bushes are taken out and new ones pressed in, before the suspension arms are bolted up. Next on the to-do list is to replace the old shock absorbers with a new set of H&Rs. With the shocks in place, the axle is wheeled over in preparation to go back into its rightful home. Easy does it now.
We've hit the mark. Right, so now we're going to put these H&R springs in. These are the rears, and they are going to raise the ride height at the rear by 30 millimeters. The front springs have actually lowered the car by 50 millimeters, so the car will be sitting kind of like that instead of like that, which is kind of classic Mercedes. Right, so now the rear axle is in, springs and dampers are in, the brake lines have been put back together, brake fluids, and then we're going to put the wheels on.
As well as replacing the seal on the prop shaft.
And then we can drive Heinrich, but we won't do that yet. But Heinrich is drivable. We're just going to check out and see how cool he looks. Now is the moment of truth. Let us bring Heinrich back down to earth and see how cool he looks with his new suspension. Oh, that is so much stiffer than before.
We then roll Heinrich backwards and forwards to settle the suspension and to see the full effect.
I'm definitely happy with the result. Heinrich is definitely lower. We've got the front bumpers off, we've got the rear bumpers off, we've got the new suspension in, the new anti-roll bar, the brakes have been bled, we've got new gearbox oil, we've got new diff oil. Here we are a big step closer to Heinrich dominating the rally, so enjoy the view because it's awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Behind the Build. We've achieved a lot today, and Heinrich is looking rather glorious. We've still got a few bits left to do. In the meantime, rust is going to be repaired, and next week we're going to be doing interior, roll cage seats. It's going to be really, really cool. So make sure you join us for that, and also make sure that you subscribe to the Mercedes-Benz YouTube channel so you do not miss out. All that's left to say now is...
See you next week.
That was awesome. See you next week. To subscribe, click here, and to watch another video, click here.